In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how to use the Material Slate editor inside of 3ds Max. Alright, so up to this point we have been using the compact material editor. So if we go ahead and open up the material editor, this is the compact material editor. So it gives us all of these different slots that we have available to us. Now we have 24 total slots that we can use, so we can move across horizontal as well as vertical and navigate to those different slots there. Now we do have the multi-subobject materials available to us, so we could begin condensing some of these materials if we really wanted to. However, the Slate editor really gives us a lot of room, and it allows us to produce materials in a different way. So let's take a look at that. Let's go to Modes and then Slate Material Editor. Now when this opens up, it's going to bring up a window, and it's going to look a little bit different. Here you can see that we have our material map browser, so we have all of our materials that we're able to choose from. So you can see right here we have all of our standards. So we have our standard that we've been used to using. We have that multi-sub-object material, so nothing has really changed, it's just a different type of interface. Now we also have like our mental ray materials down here as well. Now whenever you start working in this, you're going to be working in the view, and this is where we're going to drag and drop in materials and start working and hooking those together. Now whenever we have a material selected inside of our view, we're going to see those material parameters here in the material parameter editor. Now you'll also see a navigator, which allows us to get kind of an overall view of all of our materials. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring in a material and learn how to work with this. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a multi-sub-object material for our seat here. So we're going to make that black, and then we'll give it some orange accents or something like that. So let's go ahead and bring that back there. And let's drag in the multi-sub-object material. Okay, and the multi-sub-object material looks a little bit different. If we zoom in here by using our mouse wheel, we could also hold down the middle mouse button. That would allow us to pan around in this view. Now you'll see that we have these numbers 1 through 10. So if you'll remember us working with the multi-sub-object material in the past couple of lessons, these are our channels. So these are the material IDs. So we have material ID 1, 2, and then all the way down to 10. Okay, if we double click on this, you'll see that we get a dotted line around our multi-sub-object material. And this lets us know that this one is selected. And here you can see that we have all of those options that we're familiar with from the previous lesson. So here I can set my number, and I can set that to 2, and then hit OK, and you'll see that now our material node has already been updated. Okay, now we could also start doing some work in here as well, but I want to show you how we can work exclusively here in the actual view. So what I want to do is I want to create a standard material and drag and drop that out here, and if we double click on that standard material, notice that dotted outline, and we have all of our parameters that we can start working with here. So let's change its diffuse color to black, and then I'm going to hit OK, and then I'm going to give it just a little bit of specularity. So I'm going to draw that up, and if we zoom in here, you can see that we get a preview of our material. Now if that's too small, you can always double click on that and expand that out and make that a little bit larger. Now we can come in and we can start to adjust the glossiness a little bit. So we'll go to something like around 20 and 20 on the specular level and glossiness. Alright, so now that we have that, let's hook that up to our multi-sub-object material. So the way that we do this is we actually take the output node here, and if we left click and hold on that, you'll notice we get this little wire. Now we can wire this or hook it up to one of these input channels of our multi-sub-object material. So if I want this to be on material ID 1, I'll just go ahead and drop it on that, and you'll see that connection has been made. If we want to get rid of this, we can actually grab a hold of the input node and click and drag that away, and when we release, that will delete that. Alright, so let's go ahead and hook that back up to the ID number 1, and then let's create a new standard material. Let's create that orange accent. So I'm going to go ahead and left click on our standard material here, and I'm just going to drag this up just to kind of make things a little bit more organized. I'm also going to double click on that preview just to make that a little smaller. Let's go ahead and drag out another standard material. Let's double click on it, make sure that that outline is on your material, and then we're going to change the diffuse color to something kind of like an orange color. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll add in some specularity. So we're going to type in 20 and 20, just like we did before. Just to kind of make them look like they're made of the same material. Now with this one, we're going to hook that up to channel 2, and we'll pop that in there. Now you'll notice that that has updated accordingly, and it's looking just like what we had before. So let's double click on our multi-sub-object material, and you can see that we can come in here and we can start to work with some of the different parameters. Now you notice as we're navigating in our parameters, whichever one we have selected in our parameters, you'll notice that it selects it here in the slate editor as well. So if I were to go back to my multi-sub-object material and I clicked on material number 24, which is our orange material, you'll notice that the outline jumps to it. Okay, so you don't have to worry about making sure that it's selected out here if you begin navigating throughout all of the parameters here. All right. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to go ahead and just minimize that for just a moment, and we need to set up our polygon IDs for our seat. So to get started with this, let's go to our Modify panel. Let's go to Editable Poly, and then we're going to go to Polygon Mode. And let's select the polygons along the ribs of the seat here, just like so. And then I'm also going to select just this interior. Okay, and let's just select those 4 polygons. And then I'm also going to select all of the polygons on the seat itself. Alright, so now that we have that, let's go ahead and assign those to material ID number 1. So if we scroll down to our polygon material IDs, this is set to 1, and that's good. Let's go ahead and invert our selection. So if we hit Control I, it inverts that selection, and then we can set this to 2. There we go. So once that has been set, let's turn off polygon mode. Let's go back to our material editor. So I'm just going to restore that here. Let's select our multi-sub-object material, and then we'll simply assign to selection. Let's close this, and you'll see that that has been assigned here. Now you'll notice that the colors are reversed. What happened? Well, what I did is I set these to 1, and then I set the outside ones to 2. So I want to reverse that. So a really quick way to do this, if you make a mistake, is to go to your polygon selection here, and you'll notice that we have the last selection selected here. And this is going to make it a little bit easier, but sometimes that's not always the case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deselect that, and then I'm going to scroll down to my material IDs. Notice you have this select ID. Go ahead and switch this to 2, and then hit select ID, and it'll select those polygons for you. And then what you can do is you can come in and you can set that to ID 1. Okay, and everything has been set correctly. Now, once you've done that, that does create a little bit of an issue because now everything has been set to 1. So I'm going to set this to 3 and just kind of give myself a little bit of a loop here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to 2, select ID. Okay, now you'll notice that nothing here is working. Let's go ahead and hit Control Z, and this is that is set. Let's select this. Okay, that's been set to 1. So let's select ID. That's all been set there. And let's switch this to 2. There we go. And now I'm going to go up to 3, select ID. That should select all of those outside there. And then we're going to set this to 1. Okay, so we've just used the select ID function to set up our materials properly there if we were to make a mistake. Let's turn off polygon mode. Let's go to Turbo Smooth and just see what that looks like. It looks like we forgot a couple of polygons there. So not too big of an issue. We can always fix that. So let's select those 2, and we'll set that to material ID number 2 this time. And then we should be ready to go. Alright, so our materials have been set up. We've learned how to use that slate material, which is very, very handy. Now, one other thing that's very important about this slate material, you have as much room as you need. So you don't have to worry about using up all of your slots and things like that. And this becomes a great visual way of creating materials. And to be honest, this is the way I actually prefer. Alright, so that's using the multi-sub-object material editor inside of 3ds Max.